Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On this episode of Sound Up, we have opened up the mics and are live with our virtual audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, for our summer audience edition of Sound Up.
We've got some live members of the audience joining us right now. Welcome, everybody. And we've got a bunch of concert reviews sent in from Sound Up Pod Squad members across the nation.
We love this. This is something that we don't always get to do. And we want to welcome our Pod Squad and appreciate participation in this little endeavor. Yeah, definitely.
We've got various people checking in with various shows, big and so. I guess these are all pretty big shows, actually, now that I think about it. We got some major festival coverage and stadium tour and lots of stuff. So we'll be hearing that throughout. We've got our new music picks that we'll deal with later. And you want to start with, we got an email from our friend David Klinger. David, formerly of New Jersey, currently of Florida.
Let's give him the New Jersey / Florida banner.
A timely email.
David says, want me to go with this? I'll go with it. David says, I have a question. The campaign for president is in full swing. I'd like to discuss the role of music and songs in the campaign now and in history. It seems Ms. Harris is going with Beyonce's Freedom, although Nancy Sinatra offered her These Boots, which I did hear somewhere. Mr. Trump going with God Bless the USA. In the past, Mr. Kennedy used another Sinatra, High Hopes. So was that John F? I don't remember. That was
JFK. That. Oh yeah, High Hopes was the theme for JFK.
I was around for that one.
Absolutely.
High Hopes. Okay. And Bill Clinton, of course, everybody remembers Don't Stop. So question one from David, do these really help? Do these theme songs, these campaign theme songs, do they help? And are the songs selected here the most appropriate for the current race? He also asks us to recommend campaign or, songs. I don't want to go there. I will ask other people if they would like to recommend.
We can take songs. Any thoughts or recommendations. It's funny. I mean, I've been thinking, as you know, working on this Fleetwood Mac project that I've been working on, thinking a lot about the use of Don't Stop in the Clinton campaign in 1992. And I was watching a clip from Bill Clinton talking about it at some reunion of, staffers from the campaign at the Clinton Library. And he said, basically, the important thing in a campaign is that you have a narrative. The important thing is that there is a story that you are trying to tell, and that a song and a message like that can really be a marker that helps you do that. And I do think it's significant that, Don't Stop was a top 10 hit on its own, is from one of the biggest albums in history. And the association for the last 30 years is it's the song that Clinton used when he was running for president. Yeah. It really did rewrite what the story of that song was. In a way that really stuck, in a way that, it was a generational marker. It just was. I saw
more than anything before or since.
I think so. I think High Hopes, I think that JFK and Sinatra was a pretty significant step. Again, younger, cooler, sexier, pointing to the future, clear message. Right, I think that was sort of, a marker in that same way. But I read a reference to somebody saying, I guess John Ossoff from Georgia is the first millennial senator to serve.
Is that true?
I believe that was what the point was that whatever the cutoff for the age, he was the first. Yeah. And somebody was saying, I saw him tweeting, and that felt for me what it must have felt like for boomers hearing Don't Stop used for Bill Clinton. Yeah. Here's my generation heard and seen. And I don't know that anybody's done that as effectively since then. Obama used City of Blinding Lights, the U2 song. He used some Bruce songs. But I don't think there was anything that nailed, maybe everything that he was doing was nailing a moment and it didn't need the song to, put that line in the sand or whatever. It doesn't feel like there's an opportunity if you get that right.
I agree. And it has to, that's really great that you stumbled across that bit with Clinton talking about that. I mean, that would seem to be, that's what a theme song should be. It should lay out musically your story, what it is that you want to. I can't remember. Like, did Reagan have a theme song?
I think California, Here I Come was Reagan's theme song.
Get out. See, that's why nobody remembers it.
I believe that's right.
I have no memory of that. Good Lord. It was awful.
And then everybody keeps using God Bless the USA. I mean, that's become the default, like it fills the space, but it certainly doesn't differentiate.
No,
and with Clinton, he's the first he's the first boomer, he's the first rock and roll guy running, and he's embracing a rock band. Nobody'd ever, that was always kind of too subversive to be that. But it'll be interesting to see if the Beyonce song kind of sticks at all for the Harris campaign. It seems pretty
rousing when you see it on TV, and we'll see it tonight, I'm sure. But it's pretty rousing when you see it, right? It seems to work.
I don't know if it's a big enough, known enough to the general public song.
The way High Hopes was, or the way
Don't Stop.
And High Hopes was, I guess, much closer to being a newer song. Because when he uses Fleetwood Mac, that song's almost 20 years old at that point. Anyway.
That's right. It's still 15 years old at that point.
But it did tie in. I remember it tying in perfectly. It was, oh my gosh, here's this guy. And he was, this was after he had been on Arsenio playing the saxophone. Right, sure. I mean, this guy, But it was a generational statement. And I don't know if that's, do we live in a world where you could use a hip hop song that, like, the clear thing would be, is there not using, Gucci Mane, but is there like a classic hip hop song that would resonate with a big enough part of the population and would show, hey, this is a different kind of candidate. This is a different generation. Is there a candidate out there today who could use It's Tricky?
Dick Nixon could have done it.
Nixon's dead.
Who else? Work the same way would have been a thought. Anyway, it is an interesting question. It really is. Again, I happen to have been thinking about it a lot recently, for other work.
Yeah.
But there's something about that "Don't Stop" moment, and then Fleetwood Mac getting back together to play at the inauguration and everything around that feels like it could have been a model for something that nobody ever really picked up on.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do VPs get a song?
You can have one. I don't know.
Something to listen to in the car, you mean? Yeah, sure.
Email us. First of all, connect@sounduppod.com with thoughts on all of this. We'll be coming off the convention next week. If you have suggestions, recommendations.
I was going to say, Alan, we can ask our listeners if they want to make suggestions. I do not want to get into that arena of making suggestions for political people here on this podcast, but you guys can. Laura, are you thinking anything? You don't have to give us a suggestion for a song. What do you think about the idea?
Well, my comment was going to be that to go along with what Alan was saying, should it be a song that's a big enough hit that my 89-year-old mother may or may not know it. I mean, obviously she wouldn't know the artist or whatever, but may have heard it.
Recognize it.
My, 61-year-old brother, my 55-year-old sister, my 20-year-old, newly voting niece, that it's going to run the gamut and it's going to be a big enough hit, like Don't Stop was.
Mm-hmm. That would seem to be necessary. Yeah. Janet, you want to weigh in or no?
I probably don't really want to go there.
Okay, never mind.
But I have some friends who mentioned Megan Thee Stallion showing up for something that Kamala did.
Yes.
And they were questioning if that was kind of pushing it a little bit too much because she might be a little too extreme for some people.
Yeah. How edgy you can go and in which context. I mean, that's, it's a balance, certainly.
I would wager that there was a bunch of people who had never heard Freedom before the Beyonce.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I think that's true.
And it was that word and that refrain was so prominent that it worked for me.
Listen, if this is true, and I think this is true, Kamala would be the first and really only Gen X president.
Yes. We've been talking about that.
We jumped over it.
Yes.
Right? We skipped over it. Now we go back to it. That is an interesting opportunity. That is an interesting cultural space, right? That opens up a lot of the stuff we talk about, a lot of 90s stuff that would be front and center.
If you're a Gen X president, you need a soundtrack, just like every Gen X movie did. You need that soundtrack.
The problem is you got to buy it on vinyl, then you have to get it on cassette.
True.
Then
CD.
You got to buy the CD. Then you're going to have to learn how to stream. Like it's the Gen X, the perils of music for Gen X.
We are the only generation that had to buy every form of media to listen to something. Until we did.
Not to throw a monkey wrench in. I got to just say, just to be specific here, because I know whenever there's a little off, somebody writes to us and said, oh yeah, but I will say, I guess depending on who you ask, but generally Gen X is 65 to 80. Kamala, 64.
Right.
Boomer.
It misses by a couple of months. Yeah. It's that it depends on because there's a bridge. They've said that the boomer they've held too many years for the generation. And so, yes, it's true. By the technicality, she actually falls outside the window by like 3 months.
But does not feel at all like a boomer. Not in the least. All right. So recommendations, if you want to hit us up by email, we'll take some recommendations.
Connect
for sure.
at sounduppod.com. That's where you can find us. And that is, in fact, where we received these concert reviews that we're going to move into here, because you can send us voice messages as easily as you can send us written messages.
Stadium tours are big this summer, and Pod Squad member Elise, is it?
Elise,
sent us this review of one of the biggest, the Stadium tour with Def Leppard, Journey, and the Steve Miller Band.
Hi guys, it's Elise, Debatable Freak from Texas. I wanted to give you a quick review of the Stadium tour since I know a lot of us have been seeing it this summer. I had never seen Steve Miller before, and they were really good. The players were really good. I think the theme of the night for me was weaker vocals but great guitars. When Journey came out, the little old lady next to me said, I think Arnell has lost his voice. And he was experiencing some vocal strain, and you could tell. He kept, in the high notes, putting the mic out to the audience for us to sing along. And they did try to get a lot of sing-alongs. But I do not like the venue. They were at the baseball stadium in Arlington, and Arnell just kept saying, hey, Arlington, Texas, how are you doing? Are you doing good, Arlington, Texas? After about the 10th time, I felt like, so we know where we are. Let's just sing or do something else. But anyway, that's just my opinion of that. But I felt a little bad. The energy in that place it was rough. I don't know if it was because people were there to see Def Leppard, but they couldn't even get the na-na-nas at the end of Love and Touch and Squeeze them to really hit. So it wasn't a great show for them. But for me, the main event was Def Leppard anyway. So I was fortunate to have a backstage pass and a meet and greet, and I was just really impressed. I thought, why at their stage in their career are they doing meet and greet still? But anyway, I really appreciated it. I was by myself. I was ushered into a room with just me and the band, and I was standing there with them, and I was just overtaken at how good looking they all were in person. And Joe was standing right there in front of me with that white hair and these piercing eyes. And I don't remember everything I said, but I did manage to thank them for still touring and for putting out new music. And I think sometimes some of our old timers, like myself in that group, we don't give our legacy acts enough credit or give their new music enough chance. And Def Leppard is continually putting out new songs, and they did sing their new hit, well, I call it a hit, Just Like 73, and This Guitar from Diamond Star Halos. And I just appreciate that they're still doing new stuff. They played some stuff from Pyromania for the 40th anniversary that they hadn't played live for a while. So all in all, it was a great show. We were talking about concert length. You guys were a few months ago, and it was 5 hours. It started at 6 and ends at 11. So that is a long show, but all in all, it was a great show. I highly recommend if you're into those bands.
Well done. It's a long night, and stadium shows they're a certain thing. You go in knowing what you're going to get.
It's not about ambiance.
Intimacy.
It's about something else. It's not about intimacy.
I'm getting a little nervous if Arnel Pineda is losing his voice. Holy cow. Isn't that kid like 18? What? I mean,
well, he's been doing it for a minute at this point.
Okay, so he's 28 now?
No, I would bet he's been in Journey at least 15, maybe 20 years now.
So longer than Steve Perry?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I will look this up as you guys continue to chat.
I kind of feel like that's the case.
If that voice goes,
then
there's nothing else there's no reason to be keeping him around.
What? Well, that is absolutely true. And we, as people who might have stumbled across Neil Sean's big open letter in response to these lawsuits that everybody's hearing are flying back and forth, Neil he said, I'm the guy who hired everyone else on stage. He pointed that out. So, I mean, he'll go back to the internet and he'll find another singer.
He'll find the next sound alike. It's not.
Arnell's been in since 2007, by the way.
Okay.
So 17 years.
That's longer than Steve Perry, right? Perry was like, 78 or something, 79 through
when?
Like early 90s?
Yeah.
Anybody?
It's close. It's going to be close. Roger's got to be like that.
We'll
Meantime,
have to get our fact checker going.
The increasing respect over the years for Def Leppard that I have. I was never like a fan. Like it's fine. I was thought like the hits are fine, good, whatever. And what a band that just has worn really well. Like, I like the records more. I like them and the way they've managed their career more.
You're saying you like the old records more?
I like the old records more than I liked them then.
Yeah. I get that.
I just think like they've done a really good job maintaining what it is that they do and finding their place and, still fully bringing everything they bring live. Like that's just, they grow. That's a band that has grown in my esteem a lot over time.
I think part of that, I agree with you. I kind of feel the same way. I mean, back in the day, sure, they were great and they were just a great rock and roll band, but now there is another level to it now. Part of it, I think, is Joe Elliott.
Well,
because Joe is a massive fan, and I think I love that about him.
There's that, but there's also, and when you go back and listen to the big Def Leppard albums, especially the Mutt Lange ones, they are very lush. There is a lot going on. But the thing Def Leppard does probably better than any other band is sound like the record live. They are able to reproduce the vocals, that layered vocal thing that you do in the studio. They do it live. They do it every night. It is 100% live. Those guys can sing and play and sound so great to this day. And I think that's a lot of it. I think when people go see Def Leppard,
but they've also there's something they've maintained. Great. I don't want to say they've maintained their dignity. That's not the right word, but like, they haven't, there's nothing sort of unseemly. Some of these bands that are just like, come on. Like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to see that. I don't like enough. And I don't feel that around them at all. I feel like they're still at, absolutely can deliver at their peak, and recognize the age. And I think part of that is the fan thing that you say. It's still just the enthusiasm and a chance to sort of champion a lot of this stuff.
How about the fact that they stood behind their drummer?
Sure.
And that back in the day, I mean, that accident happened on New Year's Eve. I clearly remember it.
Yeah.
We were doing it was a live New Year's Eve show on MTV, and we had this incredible, insane news, but they waited for him, and they get the special drum kit, and it sounds amazing. And we've had him on our show, Rick Allen, and super positive, and that is, I think, the vibe within the whole band.
And who knows? I mean, that accident and how he had to relearn to play and use electric drums changed the sound of the band.
I think it did.
It changed the sound, but it changed the story and the dynamic around the band as well. I mean, then it became that band of brothers.
Yep.
Like it stood for something bigger after that too. So anyway.
We have some more concert reviews, do we not?
Let's talk to one of our friends here and then bounce back to a concert review. Let's do it that way. Laurel was up in here early on. I want to see what she wants to talk about.
Okay, this is sort of way off topic, but yeah, I know. Go figure. School's starting down here in Florida and South. I was just at Walk Street in Athens, Georgia, and without coming out of there completely broke and not being able to get all the records in the car, tips and tricks on finding new music, keeping new music straight. Do you guys make written lists of new stuff you find? Do you concentrate on one platform? I mean, obviously the Sound Up soundtrack, I'm going to go there for starters for new music, but there's so much. How do I weed it all down?
I've stopped listening to music because there's just too damn much of it. I can't keep up. I'm sure each of us will have a somewhat different response to this. I know that where I find music is not at all where journalist Alan Light is finding music. I can promise you that. Part of it, I'll say, Laurel, for me is I go to Bandcamp. I certainly go to Spotify. I don't use Apple Music, but I pop in there every now and again. But I read these online zines, and I'm ready. I look at the charts in the UK. Those are the things. And I have on my Spotify, I have a list where I just I like that. Click, 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 click. And then I go back and listen to it. That's how I do it.
Yeah, I always feel silly in some ways answering this because it is just a different thing for my adult life.
And we all get promos.
People pushing stuff at me. Yeah. And so, it's so much more dealing with inbound than having to look outbound, that it's just not a fair thing. That said, how do you choose from there are 50 things a day that will show up in my email. What am I actually going to listen to? What am I actually going to pay any attention to? And I don't have any scientific or systematic answer to that. It really is sort of, I heard somebody talk about this. I read this over here, some of the same things that Mark says. I'll look at the, NPR does which tracks each week, which albums are their picks, different. Pitchfork does it, other places do it. And there's just sort of a cumulative I've heard enough about that, or what I've seen about that seems of interest, or somebody that I really trust that is sending me saying, pay attention to this one, I'll at least give it a shot. But mine is not a representative experience. So it's just a little harder to give an answer to that.
Yeah.
Roger, what's your...
Yeah, mine's interesting because, I make a point of the bands I like signing up for their newsletters, whatever. So when they have new music come out, I'll get alerted to it. And for sure, I will check that out. But I do use Apple Music, and Apple every Friday puts up a new music. I think it's called the New Music Daily. Playlist. And I'll start every Friday morning with that. And I'll just start it. I'll play it. But I won't listen to I'll listen to 20 seconds of a song. If it grabs me, I'll keep that song on and I'll mark it and be like, all right, that's cool. If not, click, go to the next one. Because there's probably 30, 40 songs in there at some, and they tend to kind of top load it with the more popular people. The harder rocker stuff winds up at the bottom. But I try to go through it, as I did, this week as well. And it's amazing, what you'll find and, what's in there. And that's kind of, I found my method of doing it now. It might not be the best method, but it seems to at least keep me updated on much of the bigger releases coming out.
One of the things we all, and when I say we all, I mean everyone except you, Alan, we need floodgates. We need an arbiter.
Dude, I need more floodgates than you do. Again, keep in mind.
But you're the arbiter.
Yeah, I know.
You're the man.
But when I say you've seen it, when I say that 50 things a day will show up in my email, I'm underestimating what is actually there. A lot of them are just, I'm not interested. I don't need to deal with it. But there still need to be filters for those of us who try to be the filters.
Yeah.
What's gonna,
especially in this day and age, it's insane to, I think about, I was a music director at a radio station in Philadelphia in 1977. Okay. And back then we got free records. So that was how I found a lot of my music.
Sure.
But they would come in, the guys from the labels would come into the radio station every week and hawk us, play this. This is great. Here's the story. So that was the way that it happened. But there was, from every label, let's say there was 10 labels, and I'm exaggerating, they would each come in with 2 or 3 maybe.
Sure.
And we had to sift through those 2. So we're looking at maybe at tops, 25 records or 30. And that's it. That was it. There wasn't anything else anywhere else that we were missing. It's a very different thing now. It's overwhelming for me now to try and keep up with music that I love.
As we've talked about endlessly, the things that I think are good about this, but there really used to be one way you put, you had an album and you put it out. And now
with a single in advance, maybe
with a single in advance, maybe. Sure. Now it's a single or it's an EP. It's 4 songs. It's 2 songs. It's an album. It's an album. And then 2 hours later, it's another album.
Right.
Post Malone coming with that latest version of that trick this week.
Do you like that?
Do we like which? All of these different?
That it's so here's a new album. Oh, wait, 2 hours later, there's another track on this album.
Let's hold that one for later.
All right, fair enough.
In general, I think it's good for the music that you can put things out in different ways. I think it's good that it's not if you have your 12 songs, then you can put out music. Otherwise, get back to us. I think that opens up other kinds of creativity, but it also means it just is more and more and more stuff coming at us, of course.
And when you have artists like Taylor Swift, who just puts out everything, every damn song. I'm kidding. I love Taylor. We all know this.
We talked about this last week when Tori Amos dropped new music, and we didn't even know about it. That's the thing that I hate when artists I love put something out and it gets lost in the shuffle.
And who knows? That's the way to deal with that, I think, only is for all of us, is to be in the fan club.
It's true.
It's real. I'm being serious.
Especially for artists like that who they don't get airplay. So you're not going to find out that way.
Right. See, that was the other thing. I talk about floodgates because that was why I got into this business, because I wanted to be that. There was a guy that I was listening to when I was a teenager, and I was just awestruck because he would have the best stuff and he would play this, and he was on late at night, so it was extra specially cool. And that magic, that romance, it's gone. It's just missing.
It's pretty gone. So, all right.
Except when we do our new music picks, which we will do
later in the show.
Where it still lives.
We are the final floodgate, ladies and gentlemen.
Should we?
We take about 9,000 songs that get released every week and whittle it down to like 4.
That's right.
That's right.
And that ain't easy.
No.
All right, what do you want to do? Do we break here?
Let's go to another concert. No, let's do a concert review and then break. Let's get one more in because we got to get these in.
This is great. I'm excited about this one. We got a concert review with Hozier. Mick went to see Hozier.
Hey guys, it is Mick in Cleveland. I am sending in a concert review, which is not something I get to do particularly often. For years with the pandemic and the medical issues in my family, we weren't able to do a lot of concerts and live events. And then when we were able to get out and do some, I didn't have you guys on the air. Then recently we were actually able to go out and see a show. My daughter is a big fan of Hozier, and actually my wife has become one because of my daughter. Me, not quite so much. I'm a little more, the industrial, the dark wave, and heavier rock, but I'll listen to anything. I'm a big fan of music. I've found for whatever reason though that listening to Hozier makes me physically tired. Like if I'm driving somewhere, we can't have that on in the car. I will pass out. But I figured I would go along for the show. The two of them were excited to go see it, and we went down to Blossom, which is an outdoor amphitheater here in Ohio, and it was an interesting rainy night that there was apparently tornadoes touched down shortly before showtime, but we still went to the show. And I'll be honest, like I said, well, it's not my vein or not my bag. It was a heck of a show. He puts on a really solid show. It's more mellow than the stuff I'm used to seeing. It's very, performance driven. It's a big band. It's I don't mean big band like, Duke Ellington, but it's a large band with a lot of instrumentalists, but they're all really talented. They come together well. They harmonize well. The melodies are really quite beautiful. If you're a fan of Hozier, apparently it was a semi-religious experience. I mean, the whole audience belted out every word of every song, and they scream with the yearning and longing that he puts in these songs. I was pretty impressed by him overall as a guitarist, and just listening to him perform and play. He's actually far more talented than I was giving him credit for originally. A lot of blues in there, a lot of folk to the way he plays, a lot of finger picking stuff that he does, which is really impressive. And he put on his Bono hat. Maybe it's the Irish roots for a while, and really made a lot of pleas for some social consciousness and looking out for your fellow person and standing up and taking a stand on some activist issues, whether it be LGBT ones as well as the situation in the Middle East, stuff like that. It was kind of refreshing to see a whole bunch of this generation get fired up about it too. So anyway, I just wanted to say it was actually an enjoyable show. I came away from it appreciating him more. I still can't listen to it while I'm driving, but it was a good show, a fun show. I'd recommend it. If you get a chance to see him, he's worth the show.
So he didn't drive home listening to Hozier after the show. Just to be clear.
Dangerous, very dangerous. Don't do that.
I can say I would like to hear Hozier with a big band. I think that's actually not a bad idea.
Hey, maybe that's the next record. All right, here we go. It's great when someone can go to a show. You sort of, I kind of know this person, and come away digging the artist. That's the dream for the artist for sure, and for fans as well.
People who love that dude love him, by the way.
I've seen him a couple of times in concert. He's got an incredible voice. I love his range, and it's almost religious.
Yeah. And his presence, and he's like 8 feet tall. So,
and even from the stage, you can see what a giant the guy is. It's true. Well, that's the hope, if you can go to a show and come away, that's great. You take your kid to a show, come away loving the artist. How great is that? Can't ask
Everybody's a winner.
All right, we're going to take a fast break here. We've got quite a bit more to go. We've got some reviews. We've got our new music. All of that coming up on Sound Up after this. All right, welcome back. This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. We are halfway through the show. This is our live show, by the way. We've got some people live with us here, going to be responding, maybe jumping in, getting a little rowdy. That's the plan. That's why we do it this way. We've also got some concert reviews from you. We've given you a couple already. Let's jump to our good friend, Tim, a.k.a. 17 Candles. He recently saw a cool triple bill and gave us this review.
17 Candles, Tim Kendall in Cleveland, checking into Sound Up, the only music podcast that matters. This is a concert review, a show that took place at Cleveland Heights, Kane Park, one of our best venues. 3 acts. Vertical Horizon opened up with 5 songs. 4th song was a cover by The Cure, Love Song. Not bad. I don't know why they would choose to do a cover when they only had 5 songs to play. 5th song was the big hit that everybody was singing along to. Becky really needed to hear and wanted to hear badly, so she was happy that we made it on time. Then we move on to Toad the Wet Sprocket. Toad the Wet Sprocket happened to be the first show I ever saw with Spin Doctors, so it was quite the trip to see them once again, and they still sound like the 90s. I mean, the vocals, which kind of blows me away. And Gin Blossoms apparently have been doing this for 37 years. But back to Toad, the few songs that I wanted to point out, Robin came out and the dude from Vertical Horizon, I think his name's Matthew, and they all played Driver 8. It was the third to last song before All I Want and Fall Down. But Driver 8 just sounded spot on. It was like, wow, this sounds really good. So that was a highlight for me. And then Gin Blossoms played much of New Miserable Experience. They did throw in a song he said was #1 in the Philippines, and it is something that we'll seek because the guitar part was really something that caught my ear. I don't know the name of it, but they close. There was an encore with like a couple covers, but they close with 4 songs that are just spectacular. I mean, I can't even say I'm the biggest Gin Blossoms fan, but I'm a huge fan of that album. And they close with Allison Road. Found Out About You. That one made me misty, man. The whole passage of time thing keeps hitting me at concerts. It's nutty. But I was getting a little sentimental there with the thought process. And then Hey Jealousy comes on. The crowd's loving it. And then they do the cell phone light thing for the last song, Till I Hear It From You, which is from the Empire Records soundtrack. But anyway, it was a great time. I highly suggest seeing the tour if you can.
So... thanks, Tim Kendall. Really appreciate that review. You guys, I have not heard about this tour.
I think I saw it when it was
Vertical
announced.
Horizon, Toad the Wet Sprocket, Gin Blossoms. Yeah. That's a really cool 90s lineup.
It's really interesting that they do that. What I guess all of them did together was Driver 8.
Right.
If you do that Venn diagram, REM really is.
Right. It's where they all begin, right?
It's really true.
It's true.
Wouldn't necessarily have peeled that apart and thought that, but that makes 100% sense.
And I think that's the REM song that put REM on my radar was Driver 8.
Driver 8. Yeah.
By the way, he did mention Empire Records, and I cannot stress enough how much fun, how campy. I love that movie so much. If you have not seen Empire Records, it is such a cool record store type movie.
It's also when you rattle off those Gin Blossoms hits.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of does add up to something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's true. And then they were gone.
Yep.
You know, that's why isn't he coming up with any more songs? What's up? That's
a lot of action around the Cleveland area, apparently, from judging from our reviews. So
yes, a music mecca.
Yes,
for sure.
You go. Should we hand over to Janet? See what's on her mind with the cats?
Janet and the Cats.
Yes.
Let's bring them on.
I love that band.
Please introduce them. That's Josie and the Pussycats.
Whatever.
What can you introduce your cats and then what would you like to speak about?
Well, I've got Rusty and Butters here who've gone viral before. So.
Yes.
And speaking of cats, actually, your show, when you talked about bands that should be bigger, you talked to Ella in New York who mentioned Fantastic Cat, and it piqued my curiosity. And so I started digging into them. And I found out I really was into them. They've got 4-part harmonies. They swap instruments. They have a really funny presence on social media. And they're coming here next week, so I'm going to go check them out, and I'm really looking forward to it.
People really like them, and like people are finding them. And a friend of mine who has like nothing to do with this world, and I don't know that he's listened to anything past 1980 or so. Love him to death, but like is a real classic rock, Dylan and Bruce kind of a guy. And he
Right.
wrote me, he's like, you know this band, Fantastic Cat? I'm really into this. So it's pushing the right buttons.
See, you're a floodgate, Janice. I'm gonna go and check this band out now.
Well, give Ella credit first
Yes.
because he made me find out about them.
It works. Word of mouth, as they say. So,
All right. Well, that's
so
cool.
that's the discovery. Okay.
Yeah.
But it happens wherever. I mean, we had, the Wild Things on last episode, and we just put the full video up on YouTube. You could see the entire video of that interview on YouTube. But I am now obsessed with that.
Me too.
Unbelievable how cool they are and how much fun they are.
So if you haven't heard that episode, definitely go back and download that episode. It was great. Really great. And I don't know, where were you coming in on this, Roger? When we had them on, like we were talking about it the week leading up to it, and I was like,
Right.
I've listened to one or two. But afterwards, I'm all in.
I'm so all in because they are so diverse as a band, but also, I mean, they're so much fun. I mean, the video for their current single, if you're a big Gen Xer and you remember VH1, they do it in the style of a VH1 pop-up video, which is hilarious. And it's just so funny. But they really are talented. Pete Townsend produced this record with them. And I just am really excited to see what this band does. I can't wait for them to come to the U.S. and tour. I really want to see them live.
Yeah.
Always interesting when they have the acting, as we discussed, significant acting background and real jobs. It's not make or break about being a band. It's about being a band because they want to do it.
Yeah.
Which just gives it a different sort of a feel sometimes. So, Janet, have you seen anything else recently? We know you're a big concert goer who covers a lot of ground,
as they say.
I've seen a lot of really great shows this summer, but one that was extra special for me was getting to see Mammoth WVH, The Pretenders, and Foo Fighters all together on one bill in Cincinnati. They haven't come to Detroit in about 6 years, so I had to travel to go see them. And that triple bill just made me have to go to that one. And what was extra special about this one was I was down in the pit and I was right by the rail, and I've never had that kind of experience for Foo Fighters before. And so while I usually don't like those stadium shows, suddenly I really was into this experience.
That's a lot coming at you right there.
Really?
Yeah, it was an incredible night. And I mean, Foo Fighters just always bring it. 2 hours, 45 minutes, nonstop energy. They were so much fun. And I saw the Pretenders a year ago in a small club setting where they played 0 hits.
Right. That was she did those shows. She played Bowery Ballroom here and said, hey, look, I got to do these stadium shows with Guns N' Roses. I do plenty of nights playing my hits. That's not what I'm going to do for you guys.
Yep. So at the stadium show, I got some of the hits. And I mean, I'm cool with both. And so it was good to see some of those. And Mammoth WVH, I just love them. Wolfgang Van Halen is such a talent. And for him to be playing with his hero, Dave Grohl, was pretty awesome. So that was
we should be due for new music out of them. It's been a minute.
Out of Mammoth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Wolfgang talk about how he's starting to work on stuff for a third album now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All right, we got one more of these we want to get in here?
Sure.
I think we do, yeah?
Oh,
yes, we do.
Not to be missed.
It's a doozy.
Yes. Our friend Sunita, Volumaniac All-Star, who I know at the moment is in London for the Taylor Swift show at Wembley, one of the Taylor Swift shows at Wembley. She filed an Olympic-sized Lollapalooza review. Sunita, what do you got?
CHICAGO. Lollapalooza was hot to go. Hey, Sound Up, I'm a bit late with this review, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about the great acts my son and I got to see at Lollapalooza last weekend in Chicago. Thursday, we saw Jungle, Chappell Roan, Kesha, Labyrinth, Benson Boone, Megan Thee Stallion, and Hozier. On Friday, we saw Military Gun, Will Dorado, Blue to Tiger, Ray, Sexy Red, Faye Webster, Louvet, Megan Maroney, Zed, and SZA. SZA actually did a totally different set than we had seen her do when she was at Govball 2 months ago, so that was pretty impressive. Saturday was Homeschool, Briston Maroney, TV Girl, Cannon, Diamonds, Deftones, probably the first time I saw anybody over 30 in the crowd, and ended the night with Future and Metro Boomin, and of course, The Killers. Just like at the Paris Olympics, the women own the music industry right now, and it's wonderful to see representation of women across all these different genres of music, and they are crushing it. So in honor of the Olympics, I'm handing out medals. Best overall. For me, the gold goes to Ray. She was the artist I was most excited to see, and I came away an even bigger fan of hers than when I went in. She had a great live band, full horn section, and really loved the mix of jazz and R&B and hip-hop. It was wonderful. Most talented. Bronze to blue to tiger, she ate that bass. Silver to Benson Boone. Excellent vocals and plays several different instruments. Gold goes to Luve, who until Lala, I thought you pronounced her name Laufey. She's Chinese Atlantic and played 4 different instruments in the first 4 songs alone. It was a beautiful mix of classical music mixed with orchestra and jazz, backed by the Chicago Philharmonic as the sun was starting to set on Lake Michigan. The fact that a few moments prior to that, we were all screaming, get it sexy, during Sexy Red's set on that same stage was pretty interesting. This juxtaposition of musical genres is one of the things I love most about music festivals. The biggest crowd, the bronze goes to Future and Metro Boomin, silver to SZA, and gold by a landslide was Chappell Roan. I'm sure you've seen those images on socials, and it was truly bananas. If you haven't seen photos of the crowd, check them out. If you don't know Chappell Roan, check her out. As she says, she's your favorite artist's favorite artist. The biggest comeback. The gold goes to Kesha, who gave a great speech about resilience and what she's been through and how she finally feels comfortable in her own skin. She then changed up the lyrics to her hit song, TikTok, where instead of saying, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, she changed the lyric to, wake up in the morning and cuff P. Diddy. She had those lyrics on the big screen behind her and said it about 5 times in a row. Needless to say, the crowd went wild. Kesha's speech was actually truly heartfelt and quite moving, and I really appreciated Megan Thee Stallion urging people to get out and vote and talking specifically about certain issues directly impacted her. I would say that the overall theme of this festival seemed to be acceptance, not only of each other, but especially being accepting and loving of ourselves. So, okay, was I the only person there not in bubble braids and face glitter because I was about 2 decades older than everybody else there? Sure. Did it in any way harsh my vibe? Absolutely not. Quick note, my husband and I met in line for Lollapalooza tickets back in 1992, and he took me as his date, so it was a total full circle moment for me to be back at Lolla with my son all these years later. So who's the real winner overall? Definitely me, because these memories are total gold. Thanks, Sound Up.
High concept review. A+ for structure and organization.
I didn't realize she met her husband and
oh yeah, she told us
tickets.
She told us that story at some point on the air. Yes,
she did. Yeah. Oh man,
it was when we were talking at some point about do you like waiting in line for tickets instead of going buying them online and everything else? Or somebody was, I think, 9 Inch Nails did a thing where you had to. They were only selling physical tickets.
You had to go to the venue.
Go to the venue, and some people were complaining, whatever. And she called and was like, "Well, let me tell you what can happen waiting online for tickets." So,
how great is that?
Did you see those photos of the Chappell Roan set at Lollapalooza?
No.
Of the audience? It's unbelievable. I mean, however many people are there just for the whole thing, they were all there for her set.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. She's got me.
It's been a crazy explosion to see what has happened around her, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember, I think we said this a few years back, I remember she was signed as a singer-songwriter, girl with a guitar. I remember going to see her at the Atlantic Records offices. They were, showing her off, showcasing her. And she was, I was like, okay, good little singer-songwriter, girl, whatever. None of what it is that she's become, like, different label, different everything, and this whole other, character and story and sound that she's become. But it was not that long ago. I'm thinking like, I know this name. That was a entirely different world.
Yeah. Something also, she mentioned, or was it you, Janet, who mentioned Seeing the Pretenders? No, she meant talking about Seeing the Pretenders. I forgot to mention on our last show that James Walburn, who is the new current Pretenders guitarist, has been in the band for a few years now, but his new band is called His Lordship. And I just saw them in concert like a week and a half ago here in a little club downtown. They're going to be coming here. And they're going to be playing small clubs. James Walburn is the front man. He sings. I want to say, go and see these guys. I hope somebody picks up the record. There's such great music on there. Chrissy Hines going nuts for this band and has for a couple of years. So It came to me when the Pretenders were mentioned, and I wanted to squeeze it in before.
No, that's great. That's cool. All right, we should break, and then we got new music to talk about and some other stuff.
We do. Get your your pen or your word processor out. We have our new music list.
Word processor.
Word
what
processor.
Is that?
Well, it's pen or word processor, and that will be coming up next on Sound Up. All right, welcome back. This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, and thanks for staying till the end here. We've got a special dessert for you. It's new music, delicious.
Before we get into some new music, I feel sort of obligated. There have been, without turning it into a complete downer of an experience, but there have been a number of passings, and specifically a number of deaths on my side of the rock and roll business. Several journalists within just the last few weeks who have passed that I just wanted to note for the impact that they have left in the world. First, Charles Cross passed away last week. I believe he was 67. Charles was many things, but first of all, he was the guy who created and founded Backstreets, the Springsteen fan publication that has become essentially that was the sort of premier fanzine that anybody was doing, and was hugely important within the Springsteen community.
When Bruce started scalping tickets.
They stopped publishing when the last tour started. Charles has been long, from a distance, but he was the music editor at the Seattle Rocket, and as a result was hugely important in all of the Seattle grunge stuff in the 90s. He was front and center and the guy leading that charge. He wrote a fantastic book called Heavier Than Heaven that's sort of the best Kurt Cobain biography that anybody's written. He wrote a great book about Hendrix. He wrote a great book about Zeppelin, and I have never heard anybody say a bad word about Charlie Cross. We share an agent, and just a tremendous loss, somebody who contributed multiple times over to the music world. Also wanted to note that Michael Corcoran down in Austin, often known as Corky, was sort of an institution down there through a lot of the Austin, alt scene through the 80s and 90s, was a really important figure down there and a center to that scene. And then most recently, just within the past few days, an old friend of mine, David Handelman, who was a Rolling Stone writer back in my time, was just a couple of years older than me, was very supportive of me coming up, but wrote the first piece for Rolling Stone about the Beastie Boys, wrote a Talking Heads cover, wrote did a lot of put together their comedy issues, the hot issues. He did a lot of the sort of, culture stuff there. Just a really, really gifted writer who went on to work in television. He wrote for The West Wing, all the Aaron Sorkin shows. He wrote for Sports Night, and then most recently was working at CNN with Michael Smerconish, and just had a really interesting career. A really smart, really great guy, really good writer. And all of these losses within a few days has, got the journalism community reeling a little bit. So I just wanted to note.
You take care of yourself, Alan.
That all of these guys made. Well, it starts getting closer and closer when, as you know, when you start hitting a certain age. And we should mention, I know, Mark, we didn't have a chance to mention Greg Kihn.
Greg Kihn, so sad. And I've seen him so many times in the last 5 years and spoken to him. The last time I saw him was just before COVID. And it's Alzheimer's that they're saying is the cause of death. I didn't notice it at all. It must have been really, really quick, because just a few years ago he was playing. His son Rye, is in the band, had been in the band, and he was in great spirits. But what a guy! I mean, he was Elvis Costello, I think, and Greg Kihn were my entrance into that whole Berserkly Chartbusters world, and I think for a lot of people, it was a whole different world than what was on the radio at that moment. And it was so to hear, it was the Rubinoos and Jonathan Richman.
And the Modern Lovers, sure.
Modern Lovers. It was just that moment. And he was the first guy signed to Berserkly. He was working in a record store.
And the one who went from that platform to the biggest pop success.
True.
I mean, he's the only one out of those guys who then went on and had big radio hits.
It's true.
And then he redefines himself as a radio personality.
Right. How about that? For many, many, many years.
Yep.
He was. And an author. He's written, 6 or 7 novels? I mean, he's an incredible, incredible man. I feel lucky that I got a chance to speak with him. And he will be missed. Definitely.
love and thoughts to all of these guys and everybody around them. And it's what makes this into a community. So we should note the landmarks.
All right. So,
okay. So
before we wrap things up,
new music rolls on.
Yes.
Who's going to kick us off?
Alan, you start off. How about?
All right, I'll go quick. I got a few, and I'll do two real quick, and then come back. There's a new Mary J. Blige single with Fabulous, who she has worked with off and on over the years. This is the first single for an album coming in the fall, ahead of her induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen. And a song called "Breathing" over a loop from "I Put a Spell on You," and Mary sounding great and sounding like Mary, and I'm happy that it's out there and eager to hear a new album from her. So pointing out that that's out there. Very quickly, our friends, the Lindas, with a very different sort of a project.
What the hell?
They're out with Green Day on this tour this summer, but this is not a punk song, though it's got the energy of a punk song, more of a sort of Mexican traditional song. It is called Yo Me Estreso, which means I am stressed. So in keeping with all the indie rock anxiety songs, they are doing that. And most notably, a guest accordion part from Weird Al Yankovic on this song.
So, Weird Al feature. How badass is that?
Not doing parody, not doing goofy stuff, just playing his squeeze box. So, and then
he's a master at that.
That's right. Put him on the map. And then just to take a second to talk about the new Post Malone album, F1 Trillion, which if you know anything, what you know is he has pulled together an all-time all-star list of country super mega stars to join him for duets on this project. I will not run the full. So there's 18 songs, 15 of them are duets, and they are duets with people like Dolly Parton, Hank Williams Jr., Chris Stapleton, Tim McGraw, Brad Paisley, on and on and on. 2 with Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen. They have had the song that was #1 hit for 5 weeks. And I gotta say, it's pretty damn good. It is consistently, sometimes it's a little paint by numbers, it's a little predictable. Sometimes it is better than that. Kind of smartly, it's working with his producers, but a bunch of real A-list Nashville songwriters. So it's sort of the Nashville, structure, but then it's got more of a polished up pop sound. And all of that said, he did this thing, which is annoying, which is the album came out and then a few hours later, he put out 9 more songs as disc 2. The excuse I'll give him is those 9 songs are really different. There's no guests. Those are just 9 solo songs. And they're much more traditional country, like honky tonk. Some of them have kind of a Western swing, like fiddle and pedal steel thing going. They're more personal. And I will say the commercial impact is going to be around all the all-stars. That's what everybody's talking about. It's going to be huge on country radio, going to win a bunch of awards. No question. He just headlined Stagecoach.
Yeah.
He just played the Grand Ole Opry. Like, that's what you're going to hear about. But if he really is going to have a future, if the plan is he wants to have a future doing this, make sure you listen to those last 9 songs that aren't the novelty of all the stars. He pulls off the range of working with Billy Strings doing that kind of a song and working with Hank Jr. doing that kind of a song. And he pulls it off and they're consistently solid. But the back third, this other disc, in some ways is more interesting. And you wonder, is that the record he really wanted to make? Or did he feel like, oh, well, I've got all the, it's too big to fail with all the superstars I'm lining up so I can screw around and, do something else. Like, I don't know where it slots in, but they're worth paying attention to because in some ways they could point to where you could go that isn't just who are the biggest names I can rope in.
Can you just for 2 seconds, just sort of weigh in on that incredible left-hand turn that this guy has made into country without blinking?
It's a left-hand turn, but he's been talking about it for 9 years.
And he has done other genres within, but
right. There's a thing that a tweet everybody is pulling out. In 2015, he wrote, "When I turn 30, I'm going to go make a country album." So he's 29 and he's making a country album, right? But he over the past few years, he's played with Dwight Yoakam. He played with with Luke Bryan. He brought Winona on. Like, he's been teeing it up for a while. And some of his biggest hits, obviously, are some of these melodic. Circles and Sunflower, and like those are not hip hop songs.
Yeah.
And those are massive double diamond, some of the biggest records of the 21st century, that anybody's done. So he's kind of opened up, and gone. He did the Nirvana covers during lockdown, just with, him and a guitar. And he put up Dylan covers with him and an acoustic guitar. So he's made the space that you can see other things from him. And I give him credit for pulling this thing off.
He's not just your average guy with face tattoos.
Jelly Roll's got the face tattoos. He's owning country
Jelly
music
Roll's
right now.
Monster, right?
So there you go. All right. So that's too much for me, but there you go.
What do you got?
Well, that's hard to follow, but I've only got one, and it's not even a new song. It is Oasis is putting out a 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe, and on it is a demo of the song Sad Song, and it is just acoustic guitar and voice. It is the two brothers doing what they do best. And it is so good to hear this demo and hear how good this band was. And it also kind of makes me so angry that these two idiots just cannot get it together, get in a pub, figure this out, and go out and do this, because I feel like this band ended way too early, had a lot more to say, had a lot more to do, and they should just get to it.
So I hope you're not holding your breath.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Maybe right after Ray and Davies, fix things up.
You don't think the Coachella poster next year is going to be all these bands and Oasis, like they did with No Doubt?
Right.
Who knows?
Right. Maybe if they make the poster first, maybe
they'll have to back into it. Yeah,
that's right.
Leverage is that.
Finally, I just wanted to toss in the new song from the Killers. It's called Bright Lights. I love this band. For my money, they haven't done a bad record. I've seen them live only once, and this Bright Lights is out as they just kicked off their Vegas residency and the 20th anniversary of Hot Fuss.
That's right.
Hot Fuss is 20 frickin' years old. That blew my mind. But also one of my favorite records ever. And a great band. And this is the four original guys on this tune. The video, in case you're thinking about, I guess, rushing out there, I think the residency ends at the end of this week, I think. But the video for this tune does feature their Vegas stage set, so you can get a sense of what it might be like to go and see the residency if you're going to try. But great new stuff, and they have another residency, I understand, coming up a little bit later on in Vegas. I can't get into that because I don't quite understand exactly what they're talking about yet, but it looks like they are going to be back at some point. But Killers, new music.
All right.
And that wraps it up.
That'll do it.
All right. I want to thank you guys for stopping by and helping us make this as fun as it is. Much appreciated. We are going to wrap this one up. We encourage you to check us out on socials, all socials. We are on YouTube now. Exclusive content on YouTube, full video episodes. See yourself if you joined us. And more. It's all happening at Sound Up Pod.
And remember to give us a 5-star review, like our Facebook page, subscribe to that YouTube page, and email us. connect@sounduppod.com. You can type out your words. You can talk and send us a voice message, as you heard in the live reviews that we presented today. We can do that every damn show. Just keep them coming. connect@sounduppod.com.
All right. That's going to wrap it up. Don't forget to check out Spotify for our Sound Up soundtrack over there. And we are going to catch you on the next episode of Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. Thank you all.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti for Roger That Media, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. For more information, go to sounduppod.com.